All right, so I went out riding today and shifting stopped working. My shifter cable split here, so we're gonna replace it. Got some extra leftover cable housing from a previous job. Got a couple shifter cables here, some odds and ends, and should be pretty straightforward. Well, let's take a look. First thing I'm going to do here is take the shifter cable loose, the back. Okay. Pull that right out. A little bit of fraying on that too. That should let me get the housing loose. And then I'm going to snip all of these zip ties that are holding it in place. Don't have to worry too much about it because it's not nicking the housing because the housing's toast. So I have to loosen this cable out. There we go. All right, so our cable is pretty much out. We've got to take it out of the shifter now. Just to make it easier to handle, we're going to take the shifter off of the bike here, just loosening this one screw. This is a Shimano Dior XT shifter. All right, so we have it off the bike. I'm going to take the Allen head screw here loose, the top of the shifter. Take that off, and we gotta loosen a few more screws here. Looks like 3 more. I need a Phillips for that. This one out. This one out. And this one. Okay, so we got 3 screws out. Got one more little one holding it together. Okay. I'll lift that handle up. All right, so we've got the shifter taken apart. All right, so since this cable is frayed so bad, it's not going to pull cleanly out through the shifter, so we're actually going to just space this out here and cut the rest of the cable. Okay, then we're going to pull that free, and we'll be ready to install a new cable, routing it in through here. Time to install the new cable. Carefully route it in through here. Back through. And pull that tight till the stopper gets to the end there. All right, new cable on, and we'll put the housing back together. Okay. One. 2. 3, and the little final screw here. Four. I'll pop this cap back in, and Screw back in. All right, all put back together. All right, so one of the things I need to do is get the rough length of the cable housing. I'm just going to use the old housing to line that up and figure out how long I need the new housing to be. So I'll get that marked right there, and then we'll cut that. I'm going to cut the cable housing here. Now I don't have any fancy cable cutters, so I'm just going to carefully work my way around this, trying not to crimp it. Keep as many burrs off the housing as possible. I want it to be smooth so the cable can slide through there with minimal resistance. All right, so it doesn't look too bad there. Try to squish the end of it a little bit, make sure there's no burrs. Okay. I'm gonna clean any little burrs out of the very end here before I put the cap on it and thread the cable through it. Just make sure that's opened up nice and that's clean. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so I've got the cable housing cut. The cable's ready to thread through. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of lithium grease onto a rag here, and I'm gonna wipe the cable down just to give it a little lubrication before I feed it into the cable housing. Try to make sure you keep this nice and clean. You don't want to get grime inside the cable housing if you can help it. So just feeding the shifter cable through the housing here. Should have it come out the other end here in just a second. There it is. Finish feeding that in all the way until this little end stop is flush. Okay, there we go. Put it in there, and we'll get that mounted back on the bike. We got the shifter mounted back on the bike here, and we're gonna reroute our cable. Move this around. Under here. Go through here. Go ahead and loosen this up for a second. Right here. In there. Another one there. I'm going to put a end for the housing on. That up to here. Okay. And then we're going to run shifter cable back into the rear derailleur with that end housing there. And I've got a lot of extra slack here, so I'm going to have to pull that out. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the shifter cable just temporarily. Once we get cable through, we're going to cut that off, and we are going to put a little cable end on there and crimp that down so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, we'll just clean the install up a little bit by snipping off all of these zip tie ends and facing the sharp sides in so you don't cut your leg when you're pedaling or anything like that. And since the last cable wore through unexpectedly, I'm going to look and see where it was rubbing and probably add some frame tape or something like that to it just to keep it from doing that again. Test the shifting out here. Okay, it looks like we're good.